When you cross swords with an opponent, no matter who he is, do not think about cutting forcefully or weakly. Simply, when you consider cutting someone down, do not use a forceful frame of mind, nor a weak one. Think only so far as your opponent dying. Welcome back to Vagabond, everybody. This week we're doing Volume 2, at least the Vizbig Volume 2, and we're doing the whole thing, which actually isn't that hard considering that one of the volumes in here is literally a fight. But we'll get there because first I want to say thank you to my patrons, just like I always do. Thank you guys so very much. Now let's not waste any time because I want to get right into this one. And this week we start off right after the battle with the Yoshioka school, and for some reason he can't seem to get his mind off of Otsu. He's just extremely distracted when he runs into Takuan. And they're going to have a few conversations. It's really going to kind of illustrate that even if Musashi has gotten a little bit stronger over the course of the few years since he was Takuan, he really hasn't gotten any wiser at all. He's just so stubborn and bullheaded and narrow-minded. He might have the ability to perceive certain things in certain situations, but he's not wise enough to understand what he's seeing and what it means and how it will evolve and relate to him on a grander scale yet. He's really kind of childish, he's a little bit rude, and he's still just disrespectful in general. Either way, Takuan's going to realize that he is distracted. He's distracted by Otsu, and he's even going to tell him that, hey, Otsu found this new dude over here. He's this rich, wealthy man, and he happened to take her in as a servant. Also, Otsugi's on the loose, and she's after both you and Otsu. We also see a boy named Jotaro, and Jotaro is going to start following Musashi because he wants him to train him because he heard about him from the Yoshioka school incident. To which Musashi, of course, says no. Now cut to the Yoshiokas, and they're watching their school burn. And first we see Sajuro, and he's just going to stand there with like this dead-eye stare, which might be the most interesting reaction out of the entire bunch because he's the master of the school, and he's the most talented person in the entire school. This complete lack of a reaction from Sajuro is actually going to upset Gion Toji, and he is going to take it upon himself to leave and set out on his own to go and kill Musashi. Get revenge for the Yoshioka school, essentially. And of course, Densetiro, who is the big kind of brutish looking guy who actually fought Musashi and they kind of vowed to get better and come face each other again, he sets out to go find Sekishusai. These Japanese words are really hard. I apologize in advance if I get any of them wrong. I really am putting a solid effort into getting this at least close. Anyway, Densetiro sets off to go find Sekishusai, and he is a master of a different sword school, and he's going to go see if he can get him to teach him, and he's going to attempt to learn from him, doing what he said he was going to do in the end of the last volume, which was improving his skills so he can go back and face Musashi later. Now, back over with Musashi, he sets off with Takuan. And Takuan's just going to continue to point out just how distracted Musashi is, even going so far as to claim that in the state that Musashi's in, even Takuan could beat him, and then he hits him in the head with a stick. Have I mentioned that I love Takuan because he's just great? Anyway, they reach a fork in the road, and one direction leads Musashi to the next school, in the next place where he can test his skills and improve himself. And the other road leads to Otsu. And Takuan is on his way to go to Otsu, so he can travel with Takuan, and they can travel together and go see her. Or he can continue on his own and on his journey of being the best swordsman ever. Ultimately, Musashi chooses to travel the road alone to the next school. But not for long, because Jotaro's going to catch up to him and ask him to take him on as apprentice again. And he says no, and Jotaro starts crying, and oh my god, if this isn't the ugliest cry face I have ever seen in my entire life, I don't know what is, and I don't know if this is good art or if I never want to see this again. Ultimately, Musashi will relent and say, yes, you can follow me around and I'll teach you a thing or two, probably just so he never has to see that fucking face again. Anyway, now we enter the section of the book where they go to the Hozoin school, and we are about like this far in, right? And the rest of this is pretty much them going to that school. It is the whole rest of the book. And it's not even over by the end of this, which is just crazy how much volume of this they're going to dedicate to this next section. And it's not bloated. It doesn't feel overextended. It feels so good to read. It's so satisfying to read. It's amazing. Anyway, it starts with Musashi being stopped dead in his tracks when he sees a man farming, and he's just overwhelmed by the aura basically that this old man puts off. He senses and feels like the old man's going to attack him, almost feels like a bloodthirst from him. Meanwhile, Gion Toji makes it to the Hozoin school first, and they have him fight one of the lesser students, which doesn't go well for that student, let me tell you. Now back over here with Musashi, he's actually going to end up spending the night with that old man farmer, and he's going to try and explain some things to him and impart some wisdom on Musashi, and explain to him that he had no bloodthirst. He was simply mirroring Musashi's bloodthirst back at him because he's a blank slate, and Musashi's seeing in other people a reflection of himself, etc. He's also seeing his own bloodthirst, and his own bloodthirst is not true strength. True strength lies elsewhere. He's almost acting like an old master who teaches lessons to young apprentices. And Musashi, not only bullheaded and stubborn, doesn't learn anything from this particular meeting, he actively insults the old man as he's trying to teach him. This is partly due to the fact that he doesn't have any idea at this point who this old man really is. And secondly, it's really just showing just how rude and insolent of a child Musashi still is. Now, Musashi's going to go to the school, and he's going to have to fight a lesser student just like Gion did. And just like Gion, it doesn't go well for the lesser student, although Musashi is using a wooden sword, so at least he doesn't dismember the person like Gion did. Anyway, it's a pretty quick fight, and Musashi wins. And actually, Gion Toji is there watching the whole thing. And he's going to come out, and he's going to challenge Musashi to a duel, when right there, Inshun, the master of the school, is going to come out. And this will ultimately end up starting a duel between Musashi and Inshun. And this is that duel that I was talking about that literally lasts an entire volume. And it's also at this point where this manga just shifts into excellent territory for me. I mean, up until now, the first third of this book was holding consistent with the last book that I read, which was extremely good as well. But the quality of this was really right on par with everything up until now. And we hit this volume and this fight, and it really ticked it up a notch for me above what it already was. I mean, from the artwork on display to the tension that artwork builds, even the personality that drips off the page every time some of these characters are on the page, like Inshun, for example. He is just so much fun to watch. He's so bright and playful in the way that he presents himself because he doesn't care, because he's so much better than anybody else. He doesn't feel like he has to have any stress in this situation, and he's almost goofy while he does it. It's really fun to watch and read and experience. Although if I had one complaint about this volume, it's that right at the beginning of the fight, he puts this narration box in that says, "In this, their first battle," or something like that. And it's really a bummer. Like, immediately before the fight even really gets going, he tells you that, this is their first fight, so you already know. Neither of them are going to die. They're going to separate. They're going to eventually come back together and have to fight again for a volume-long fight. It sucks the air, the stakes, the tension, all of it right out of it. Because, I mean, of course we know we're not going to have another 12 volumes without Musashi. Musashi's not going to die. But we already know that it's going to end in a stalemate before it even starts. That's bad bummer, bad call. Don't do that to me again. I didn't like that. I didn't like it at all. Way to suck the fun and the drama and the tension right out of a fight, in a way. I can literally only imagine how tense this would have been to read if that one dialogue box wasn't there. Either way, all nitpicks aside, the manga seriously does level up for this next volume. And Musashi is going to take hit after hit after hit that would put any lesser man down, but Musashi refuses to stay down and just keeps getting back up. And even though he comes real close, he can't quite seem to land a hit on Inshun. And like I said, this goes on for chapters and chapters, to the point where Inshun's going to deliver enough blows that he declares victory, because in any other situation he would have been victorious in a duel. And Musashi doesn't quit. He will not quit. He will not stay down, because as far as Musashi is concerned, until he's dead, it's not over and he hasn't lost anything. This in turn is going to introduce a whole nother level to fighting that Inshun's not familiar with. The fight to the death. And Inshun is going to embrace it wholeheartedly. And it gets intense. And it's going to escalate to the point where Musashi's even going to lose the ability to use his right arm. It's going to look like there is absolutely no way out for him. He's going to end up on the ground facing Inshun, and Inshun's preparing to deliver the killing blow. When we cut to Otsu and she's playing board games with her master. Fucking really? You're just gonna do me like that, manga? Okay. Anyway, I guess we're over here with Otsu now. When Densichiro shows up, and we find out that Otsu's master is Sekishusai. But anyway, we're going to go back to Musashi, and he's all bandaged up with the old man and recovering from the fight. Wait, what? How the actual f*** did he get out of that? But we don't have to wait long for the answer, because Jotaro's going to run in and he's going to declare that he doesn't want him as a master anymore, because he doesn't want masters who run away from a fight. And then we get a flashback of the fight where we have Inshun getting ready to deliver the final blow, and Musashi literally just turntails and runs, flees for his life, and escapes just in the nick of time. He also learns that the old man is Hozoin, the master of the school, and the master of Inshun. He's going to then harbor Musashi, hide him from Inshun, and train him, which is kind of crazy, considering that he is the master of this school and the master of Inshun, and he's going to help Musashi fight Inshun. And then he constantly talks about Inshun, both praising him as a genius and constantly criticizing him as having so much to go, and pointing out Inshun's blind spots, because Inshun was a natural genius who never really had any competitors, which made him great, but also gave him these blind spots in his training where he wasn't able to learn certain things because he never had a proper opponent to teach him some of the hard lessons. Musashi, on the other hand, has a completely different set of blind spots in his training. Primarily, lack of training at all. He's 100% brute force and no discipline. So here we are with an old man training a new student to fight his old student, and ultimately, in a way, it feels like if either one of them wins, the old man will be happy. Like, for example, if Musashi wins, it feels like the old man will be content with Inshun being dead, because Inshun was never really worthy of what he was given in the first place. And if Inshun wins and he ends up killing Musashi, he will have given Inshun the hardest fight of his entire life and forced Inshun to learn the hard lessons that he's never had to learn before, essentially filling in the blind spots in Inshun's training, making him a more complete master of the school. It really feels like the old man is setting this up more for Inshun than for Musashi. Either remove him because he doesn't deserve it, or force him to be the complete master that he should be already. Because what does he get out of it if Musashi wins and then just leaves? What does that do for Hozoin? I don't know. Meanwhile, over with Matahachi, we're going to see that he has left Oko and quit drinking and has basically moved on to live his own life. And in order to do so, he has to get a job, and he gets a job working hard labor. He very quickly learns that he's not cut out for hard labor. When he comes across a man who very quickly dies, and on his dead body he finds a certificate of completion from a very reputable school in swordsmanship and some money. He takes all of this off of the dead man's body with the actual genuinely good intention of taking it back to where it came from to prove that this man was dead and that he was honorable and all this other stuff. This very quickly turns into him pretending to be the man and using his money because he's hungry and he has nothing to eat. This couldn't possibly end badly for Matahachi, right? This is going to ultimately lead him to a man who's going to scam him and steal all of his money. Then Matahachi ends up actually having to duel this guy, surprisingly comes out on top and actually beats him, but never gets his money back. So now essentially he's just broke. So I guess he'll just continue to go on impersonating this swordsman named Kojiro and using his borrowed reputation to stay with some women and ultimately sleeping with them. Oh, Matahachi. And now there's no way this could end badly for Matahachi, right? Now back with Inshun, he finds out that Musashi's hiding with his master in the mountains and sends them a letter saying he's on his way. And I can't help it. This was wonderful. Oh, wow, was this good. We're getting into the meat and the potatoes. I feel bad that I gave the last volume a 9 now because I don't know where to go because this definitely went up for me. I mean, oh, wow. It's just so good. It's so much fun to read. It's so well drawn. Everything about this is just super good. It's super satisfying. We're getting into the drama of Matahachi. It doesn't feel super manufactured like Monster does at times. Not that I'm really dumping on Monster. I'm just saying it doesn't feel like tension for tension's sake. It felt really real world. It felt really real in the sense of Matahachi and where he is and his motivations as a person. As bad as the things are that he's doing, and you just kind of want to smack him upside the head and be like, get your shit together, dude. You're fucking up. But it feels like a real place for a real person to be in, and the decisions he feels he has to make in the moments that he feels like he has to make them. And then on the opposite side of it, you have Musashi with his arrogant, ignorant, little stubborn, bullheaded, very immature self, struggling forward on what will become a very epic journey of knowledge and learning and growing. But oh my goodness, oh wow, I don't even know where it was great. It was so good. I almost want to keep it at a 9 because I don't know. I'm afraid of bumping it up too much because I don't think it was 10 territory, and I gave the last one a 9, but this is definitely better than the last one. But like I said, I don't want to bump it up too much because what if it gets better from here? I might paint myself into a corner. So we're going to go 9.25, like just a bit. Anyway, oh my goodness, this was great. 9.25. As always, everybody, the link for my Patreon's in the description below, but the link for my Discord's in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.